And Pringle looking towards Agard. Ravel, ambitious, but brilliant! I don't believe it! I swear I do not believe it! And they are back on terms!
Hello everybody and welcome again to the New York Talk. We have another member of the double promotion team with us again today. We've got Michael O'Connor joining us today. Thank you for joining us.
No problem.
And we've got Mick with us as well, as always.
Yeah, I'll just sit here and call it. I usually do.
We always start with where is life taking you now, Michael? Almost 10 years after still signing from us. Where are you now? Yeah.
That long. I feel old now. Back home now. I moved back to Ireland, Northern Ireland last year. Obviously with the COVID and that, I just didn't know what way was going on over there. My plan was to move back home at some stage. So I finally done it. So I'm back home now, still trying to play football.
And you were saying before we started recording that you've had a similar to Rotherham, the back end of your season in Northern Ireland has been chaotic.
Yeah, it's crazy. We had, I think we started a month later, and then around Christmas time, we had like 4 or 5 weeks where it was just, there was no games. So for, I think, the last 6, 7, 8 weeks, we were playing Saturday, Tuesdays. And then the Irish Cup was on as well. It's like the FA Cup over here.
Yeah.
That was like the semi-final was on a Wednesday, Thursday, and the final was on like a Friday or a Saturday, like a 2-day turnaround. Crazy, yeah, it's mad. And you have to consider, like, these lads are, I think there's only 2 full-time teams that are full-time. The rest are time. So you have lads out on the like bricklaying or doing what they're doing, working from like 6 in the morning till 4, and then having to go to a game.
Wow.
Crazy, yeah.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah. When they think of it tough in England, and we have it tough, but they have to go do another job while they're doing it, haven't they?
Yeah, do a proper job in the morning. Then on the
So let's go back all them years to when you first signed for Rotherham United, summer of 2012, so 9 years ago. What was the sell? So because you dropped down a league, didn't you? We talked about this with Carrie Arneson. A lot of players either dropped down a standard, dropped down a league. I remember at the time being pretty impressed that we're attracting people who had played pretty well in League One, and they were happy to come and drop down to play for Rotherham in League Two. How easy a decision was it? Did it take a lot of convincing?
Not really, no. Obviously, when I heard there was interest from Steve Evans in Rotherham, I was even on Google and I seen like there was a brand new stadium, stuff like that there, and they signed I think they signed 3 or 4 players before me, which were good players. So I spoke to the chief scout at Scunthorpe and just said to him, like, Rotherham interest. He says, you need to go. He says, they're going places, like they're having the right go. So as soon as he says that, I think my mind was made up near enough, and then I met Steve and basically signed. Easy enough.
How was Steve Evans to start on the first meeting? You know, when you first talked to him, signing the club, was that the same Steve Evans that was there when you first turned up to the first day of training?
It was on the first day, but not the second day. Not the second. No, he was. Listen, you hear rumours about him before signed. Heard all sorts, and I thought, I'll go and speak to him and see what he's like. That time I met him, he was the nicest man in the world. Honestly, nicest man ever. Spoke to him for a good hour and a half about football. Showed me around the stadium, around the training ground. Had a good chat. I thought, he's all right. What people were saying must be lies. And then I think it was day 2 or day 3 of pre-season. That's when he sort of seemed like the real Steve. But I get on well. Listen, I get on. I sort of knew how to take him after the first week. A lot of players struggled. He could get into people's heads very easy. But I was fine with him. Obviously, you had days where he was like, too much. You know what I mean? But I just learned to know how to play him. Do you know what I mean? And what to do. He was fine with me.
Yeah, I think we've talked about this before. There was a very high turnover of players when he was our manager. Do you think that's because just some people just couldn't really deal with his intensity and his methods?
Yeah, 100%, 100%. I think the League Two season, I think we must have brought on about 40 players. And it was mad. Like, it's January, and then we had 5 or 6 in, 5 or 6 out, and then it was just mad. But to be fair, he kept the core of the team, like the ones that were starting week in, week out, had good partnerships and that. So that's seen us through. And he brought some good players in that sort of helped us when we had injuries and suspensions. But no, it was different from what I was used to. Do you know what I mean? So obviously I had Nigel Atkins as my manager, nicest guy in football, Scunthorpe. I had Steve Holland and Dario Grady at Crew, both lovely fellas, and then obviously there's Steve, like, on the other end of the scale. You know, it was sort of a shock to me, but you know, where I'm from and how I was brought up, I'm used to people like that, so I just get on with it.
I knew at the time you were in and around the international setup, didn't when you played for us? If you played a few times for international, was there a worry from your side that dropping down to League Two do you think whether it's going to affect your international career at all?
No, I didn't think about once. I was still in the squads. Still got picked for the squads at the start, and then there was one squad we were playing. And I remember Rotherham were playing Bradford. I think it was at home. Was it the FA Cup or something, the Carling Cup? I think we beat them 3-0. But there was an international game that week, and I pulled out because I said I was injured. And then I ended up playing for Bradford. I ended up playing for Rotherham against Bradford, and the manager and I was like, I thought you were injured. So I think after that, I was sort of on the fringes of the Ireland squad and sort of getting called up and then left out. So I think that played a big part in me sort of just going away from the scene.
Mick, anything?
No. I mean, it's interesting that you talk about Steve Evans and as a manager, and I like as Matt said, we spoke to Ben Pringle and Kerry Anderson over the last couple of weeks. So, and I look as obviously a non-footballing person, and look at him and the stories I hear about him as a gaffer, as a boss. I don't know how people could do it. I mean, I'm sure, you know, in his downtime, in his pleasant periods, he's a lovely bloke, and he definitely comes across that way. There's no doubt about it. But as a gaffer, I would be one of those that it got in my head. Definitely.
He did it at the time. Every day there was something. Honestly, every day you had something. And see, at the time you're thinking, I can't deal with this. But see now, looking back, that was the best 2 years of my career. It was just the stories. Every day there was something. Like, looking back now, it was definitely the best 2 years of my career. Just being around, and obviously the lads. Like, it was a great squad with a good set of lads that stuck together, and you know, it was unbelievable. But that 2 years was stories. Like, there's a book in there to write. Like, I'm thinking about writing a book on it. Make some money.
Well, like I said, I suppose it brings players together, doesn't it? Because it's not against the manager, but it sort of is at times, I suppose. The players have got to be together if you've got somebody like that can be at you a lot. Yeah,
definitely. We're stuck together. There was a stage where, like, every day there was someone else thinking, I've had enough, I can't do this anymore, I'm gone. And then the next day he'd be all right, and then someone else would be like, oh, I can't do this anymore, I've had enough. And then it was every day, and you know, it's funny now looking back, but at the time you're thinking, oh my God, another thing. But as obviously, like, most of the lads knew how to deal with him, like the more experienced lads, the lads that have sort of been there and done it. But it was the young lads coming through, the sort of youth that Steve brought in, like the youth. There was a young lad called Nicky Walker. Don't know, I think he made 1 or 2 appearances. Yeah, not the smartest kid. Like, his nickname's Brains, so that sort of explains, like, he's not the smartest. But he came in on a Friday before a game. He'd done like a 5-a-side, done a warm up, pass and drill, 5-a-side, a few games, and he trained this Friday, first time. Young kid came in, and he was like Ronaldo and Messi rolled into one in these games. He was unbelievable. And see, within 4 weeks, Steve turned him from Ronaldo, Messi, into a Conference North player, just because he didn't have the mental strength to deal with him, you know. But he done all right, obviously. But I'll say when he first came in, we thought this kid's got a chance, and he just couldn't deal with the mental side of being under Steve, which some did and some didn't, you know.
Yeah, well, I mean, when we went to Championship, John Swift came in on loan. Yeah. He came on the game and looked amazing. He played another game, and then we didn't see him. Literally didn't see him again. But he's got on to a brilliant career at Championship.
Yeah. It's crazy. You get the best technical player in the world, but if you don't have the mental strength to deal with Big Steve, then you're out the door. That's how it was. If you couldn't deal with it, you were gone.
Yeah. I'm sure we'll come back to Steve in a minute.
I can spend a few hours talking to Steve if you want.
When you first came to us moving to a brand new spanking stadium, I know Scunthorpe's a great place to go watch as a fan, but it's an old stadium. To come to New York and that's your home ground every week, it must have been fantastic. In the first game of the season, when the fans were rocking, it must have been a great game to play in because it's just everything went well as well. And we won as well, obviously.
Yeah, beat Burton. I think it was Burton Albion. Was it 3-1 or something?
Yeah, 3-0.
3-0. Yeah, I remember that. Even the pre-season, I think we played Hearts at home. There was about 6,000 or 7,000 at that game, and the atmosphere was decent for a pre-season. We thought this is decent, and then the first game of the season, it was it 10,000 sellout?
Something like that.
Yeah, it's crazy. First game, and you know it was big. It was massive for us to get off the winning start at the brand new stadium, which helped. But then after that, we sort of 2 or 3 games after that, we sort of struggled. A few bad results, and then we just kicked into gear. And you know, it was a long season, but we got through it.
Yeah. The first game where we sort of saw what you could produce was the Bradford game at home, where you scored a very early goal, and we've been asked to ask this a lot. That goal you scored against Bradford, there's that one and Stevenage away, which people are sort of saying your best goal. What was your favourite goal for the Millers?
It'd have to be the Bradford one. That was the best strike. I think it was 25 yards out. Say the Stevenage one was a good goal, but I think the celebration overtook that goal. They kept that one. That one. Yeah.
It's funny you should mention that.
I still get the groundsman texting me asking for money for the ground repair. I don't know what I was doing. That one. Bradford one's the best. That's the best strike. I remember it was early on, it was 3 minutes in or something.
Yeah.
I remember Prings. I think it was Prings sort of gave me a bouncing ball. It took a touch, but 25 yards out, and I just smashed this and caught it so sweet. And yeah, it was that was a big win for us against Bradford. As a local derby, you know, it was a big one for us. That.
Yeah, they didn't like Steve Evans either, did they? Bradford. They had a thing with him as well, didn't they? So that added to the spice.
Yeah, it was something there. Yeah.
I think Gareth Evans scored as well, and he went and celebrated in front of Bradford fans, which was just a great day.
I think I chipped the ball back post, and I think Gaz got 2 that game. I think he may have scored 2. But remember, he celebrated, went behind the goal and run across the away fans.
Yeah. And then a couple of games later, one of the most difficult games of the season, certainly as a fan, the Port Vale game. The 6-2 defeat, with 4-0 down inside 20 minutes, the almost reverse of the Bradford game. As a fan, it was just tough, really tough to watch. Yeah. Is it when you're in the game? Is it easy to sort of think, "Well, this is wrong, that's wrong. We should have done this," or was it just a whirlwind?
It was just a whirlwind. Honestly, it was just one of them games where every time they attacked, they scored. I think Tom Pope got a hat trick in the first
4 altogether, didn't he?
4 in the end. The best thing about it, I was met because I played with the Pope crew years ago, and I was planning on staying down with him afterwards, it's down at his house in Stoke, and having a night out. But come to 4-0, I'm saying to him, "You fucking stop scoring! I'm not going to out tonight if you keep scoring." It was just I think we got it back to 4-2, and I thought. There might be a chance here, and then they just scored again, and it was just one of them days. It was 35-degree heat, and the pitch was sticky, and they just outfought us that day. They just wanted them more. Simple as that.
And Ben Pringle tells us that Steve wasn't very happy. I had a training early the next day, and a bit of chaos as per.
Yeah. Next day, I think we're in for a 7:30, 8 o'clock. We had the meeting. Watched the video. Watched the video of the game back, which lasted about 2 minutes, and then I think it was Nobes, David Noble. He had to go with Nobes for a pass or something he done in the game, and Nobes was like, fuck this, I'm not having this. So they just kicked off because Steve kept it on about obviously Croy would have done this and Croy would have done that, and Nobes like, stop on about Croy. They're a pub team, like. Nothing wrong about it. Simple as that. And then I went on back and forward, and Nobes like just got up and says, I've had enough. Like, give me my registration. I'll leave. And then it went quiet. And then 5 minutes later, you heard a knock on the door. Like, fuck this. Nobes came back and says like, he came back and said something else. We thought, here we go again. So it kicked off again, and then Nobes was gone for like 3 weeks. Came back in and get back in the team. He must have told me during the 2 years I was there. He told me at least 5 or 6 times I won't play for him again. Yeah. Honestly, told me that. Sent me from training 5 or 6 times. You won't play for me again. Next day, he's my best mate. Honestly, he was that. You just couldn't read him. So he was just mad. Even the last game of the season before Aldershot, remember the League Two, the last game.
Yeah.
He something happened in training on the Friday, and I get sent in for training. I get sent in. I won't play again, and then obviously the next day I play. I just knew how to. I knew when he said that, just take it with a pinch of salt. And but no, I get on well with him. You know, even now, like he rang me, I'd answer the phone to him and speak to him.
Yeah.
He gave me a chance. You know, he gave me a chance to win them back-to-back promotions. Without him, I wouldn't have done it. Yeah. I owe him a lot for that. No, he's all right.
You play with some fantastic players. One thing which we all can't argue is Steve Evans brought in some fantastic players, and that midfield in League Two was absolutely fantastic. One of the fan questions we've got is, who did you prefer playing in the midfield? Noble Arnie or Frex? Who was your best midfield partner that you play with in your time in the Millers?
Obviously, they're all completely different. Different players. I think Arnie played more centre back, so I think I played once with Arnie in midfield the whole time I was there. I think Frax I played with the most. In that League One season, he was the best player in the league by a country mile. Absolutely, he won his promotion that year. Honestly, it was unbelievable. And Nobes was just, you knew you could give Nobes the ball anywhere. 3 players around him, you take it and keep the ball for you. So I would say Frax, because we're going to play with Frax at Lincoln as well. And we travelled in together, so we knew each other off the pitch and on the pitch. We had a good relationship. So I would say Frax, especially after the League One season. He was different class.
Yeah, 100% agree with you. Yeah, love Frax.
Yeah,
absolutely,
100%. Club legend.
He is. Yeah.
I'll be honest. I mean, I've watched Rotherham United for how many years? 50 plus years. And if I had to pick a top 2 or 3 players, Frex would definitely be near the top of the top 3, because I just absolutely adored the man as a footballer. It just made such a difference.
He had everything. He had everything. Like, he box to box, up and down, fittest player I've played with. Technically, unbelievable. Like, it's underrated how good technically he is, because he's so busy, like, up and down. But on the ball, he never lost the ball. Kept it simple. Scored much goals. He scored loads of goals for Rotherham. Released top ends, headers. You know, he had everything for a top centre midfielder.
Yeah. I was surprised he came to us in League Two. I was really surprised he came to us and thankfully he didn't.
Yeah. I don't think he was playing at Peterborough. I think he had a fallout with I think he was meant to sign. It was going on. I think it was like 3 or 4 weeks that was going on for, where he was signing. He wasn't. Then he was. Then he wasn't. And then he showed up one day, and I think that Did we sign him on loan first with a few to permanent?
Yeah.
It was one of them.
Signed him October, but I think he signed permanent in January. I think.
January signed permanent. Yeah, good signing that. Yeah.
We talked about the 6-2. There was also the 5-0 loss to Dagenham. There was a 3-0 loss to Southend at home. Well, Southend went nowhere that year. It was difficult. It wasn't an easy season, was it? Was the times where you thought this is just not going to work? You know, we're losing against teams we shouldn't be losing against. Was there any time of real worry that the promotion just weren't going to happen?
I think it was before Morecambe away. 6 games to go, maybe 7. Played them away, and I think we were good 2 or 3 points outside the playoffs. But the playoffs was tight. As you think, Gillingham, they were on the way of it. They were there. But that was 7 games to go, and I thought we might struggle in the playoffs here. And then since I think we beat Morecambe away, and then we won the next 5 or 6 on the bounce, which got us promoted. But at that stage, we were so inconsistent. Like, we were winning 2 or 3 and then losing, drawing, and then winning 1 or 2 and then losing and drawing. We couldn't get our own going. And then obviously the last 6 games, whatever it was, we just hit form and just didn't look like losing.
You know, when you suddenly hit form like that, is it noticeable that something's just clicked, or does it just sort of continue? The momentum carries you through. That's
what it is, momentum. Just winning games. You know, just getting that winning mentality. We just couldn't do it throughout the season. We're going on like 2 or 3 winning runs, like winning games, and then losing a couple and then winning. But once we won 2 or 3 towards the end, I thought it's the business end of the season. We need to start winning all these games of football to get automatic promotion. And we just went on done it, and then that was it.
And we talked to Frexon, Pringle and Arnie about the Bradford game. Just goes down in Rotherham folklore. What was that like to play? And I imagine it was an absolute battle.
It was. I think I played 30 minutes. I get taken off after 30 minutes. I get the left back. And dumping like my lower back. Couldn't move, so I come off. But that first 30 minutes, I think I touched the ball 3 times. But it was with my head as well, not my foot. It was just one of those games where you just had to roll your sleeves up. The pitch was awful. It was just horrible. It always was against Bradford. They had the big lad up top, Hansen. Hansen, Nacky Wells, which as a partnership they were very good. So their game plan was to go back to front, miss out the midfield, and play like that. So you knew in them games as a midfielder you just had to win your own battle, and that was it really. But that was good. I remember watching the goal. I was at the side to the goal when their keeper came up to the corner. I think we've cleared it, and Kieran's run the full end of the pitch and scored. And the away fans, that's the best away support I've ever seen. It was unbelievable.
Yeah, it took weeks for the injuries to shins for our shins to be jumping up and down on those seats.
The top tier and lower tier. Well, I thought the top tier were going to go on the lower tier. But that was massive for us. But even after that game, we had a tough one after that. I think it was Plymouth away. That was a tough one. I think we went there and we beat them in 1-0. Maybe I think Kieran scored again. I think the last 2 months, you're looking for someone to get us over the line, and he was the man. He was in and out of the team the whole season. Come the last 2 months, he got his chance, and he scored a lot of goals towards the end.
And then the final game of the season, the big one, Aldershot at home. On paper, we should have won comfortably because they were bottom of the league. They obviously ended up getting relegated. As a player, what's the build-up to a big game like that? Because that's your season's coming down to a game. It's almost like a playoff final. This is it.
You won't believe me. The build-up, me and Frax went to the Crucible on the Friday to watch a snooker. It was the worst hour and a half of my life. You couldn't breathe or sneeze or do anything. We done that, and then obviously the build-up. There was no difference in the build-up to any other game. Not on the training pitch. Obviously, lads were probably nervous, but we knew going into that game. I think we knew we were going to win. Not with arrogance. Just we knew we won the last 5 or 6 games. We're playing well. They're bombed the league, but they had nothing to play for, which makes it dangerous. They had a free hit really. but no, it was a tough game. I think was it Johnny Mullen scored that game. First one.
Johnny Mullins, I think, after only it took an hour, it was all 64 minutes. The goal.
Yeah, it was dragging on a bit at nights, and then I think Frack scored that one where the whole pitch came on top of us once he scored. I was decent. I was just behind him at that time, and as I seen it get in, I seen the fans, and I turned around the other way to sprint the other way. But the fans come on. But no, that was some day. That was unbelievable.
Yeah.
That was a very special day. Yeah. I understand the club rewarded you with a trip to Vegas. Were you part of the group that went and had a few days away?
No, I didn't go. I won't let Mrs. won't let me go. No, I had a holiday booked. I had a holiday booked with the family, Mrs. and kids. So I didn't tell her about Vegas because I knew it would have been no. So yeah, I think there was about 12, 13 the lads went. Obviously, lads had holidays booked already.
Yeah.
But I would have loved to have went. But no, I didn't go. But what I've heard of afterwards, they had a good time.
And what were the celebration? Because the week after the game, they had the Port Warren testimonial. The week after,
yeah.
Were you part of that? Was that a good week leading up to that? I imagine.
Yeah. Well, I think I was on the drink for like 3 days after the last game of the season. So I couldn't run at Warnie's testimonial. I was absolutely a little bit drunk. But no, it was a good day for Warnie. Obviously, he was. I've always said, I think if Warnie wasn't there, we wouldn't have got that back-to-back promotions. I don't think he was the one that kept the lads like sane, if you want to say, like between Steve, because Steve was obviously going off. One and Warnie was like with the lads, but he was with Steve as well. Do you know what I mean? He was the middleman.
Yeah.
But no, Warnie absolute legend. Honestly, you couldn't say a bad word about Warnie, and what he's done now at Rotherham, it's unbelievable.
Yeah, well, I'm going to ask that everybody we've spoken to says that not surprised at all that he's going being a manager, but him himself, before he took the job, was sort of like, I think I felt the stress and everything else. I'm not sure I want it, and he's took it over. And we've gone down this season. We've had some struggles, but yeah, for me, he has blossomed, and it suits him, if that sort of makes sense.
Yeah, no, it definitely does. Obviously, you see sometimes on Twitter, like some of the interviews he's got. He just wears his heart on his sleeve. He's got Rotherham blood in him. You know, he wants to do well for the club, and he has. You know, you need to look at the clubs in the Championship this year. It's a hard league to be in, especially. No offense to Rotherham, like I'd love them to stay Championship, but it's not as big as a club as the Derbies. Even they struggle. The Derbies, the Cardiffs, the Norwiches, the Brentfords. You know, it's
the list goes on.
Like, listen, every club in the Championship has. I would say 2, 3, 4 times a bigger budget, even more, as Rotherham. So Warnie done to take the last game of the season. That's a big achievement. To be 2 minutes away from keeping the club in the Championship. That's not many people could have done that. Not many.
No. I agree. Completely agree.
100%.
Yeah.
The second season for you, in the League One season, is there ever a worry when you've got promotion because you're going up a league? We were all pretty confident we'd be at least safe. But is there any worry that your position's under threat? Because you're going to a higher league, in theory, you can attract higher caliber players. How much of a threat do you feel under in that close season?
No, I was just looking forward to it. Obviously, I went to Rotherham to get promotion. And I knew I was saying 2 years, so I knew first year we got promotion. I'd want to go on again. Obviously, I played League One for a couple of years at Scunthorpe and the Championship. So, I was more familiar with League One than League Two. So me personally, I didn't feel under pressure that someone's going to come and take my place. Obviously, the better players you get in makes you play better and train better, sort of to keep ahead of him. But no, we made some good loan signings. We had Tavs right back, who was unbelievable, going on, had a great career. You had Haris Fukic as well, who unbelievable, what a player, but he just couldn't deal with the mental side of Steve. He was nice at football, but just made some unbelievable signings that year, and we just we kept the core of the team from League Two, which helped. We had the partnership with Morgs and Arnie at the back. You had me, Frax, and No still there with a couple of additions. Nard started off and then he left. He was top goal scorer in League Two. But then he brought in Revs as well. So he kept the core of the team and then just brought in better players, which got us up to where we were.
Definitely. You started off the season basically playing every game. I think the first 5 games before the first international part, you played virtually every minute. You then went off the international break and never really got. I think only 4 or 5 starts after that initial break that you sort of played again.
Yeah.
What sort of happened for that? Is there? I think I read some of you that got injured during the international break, and then was that part of it, or?
Yeah, no, I've done my groin. I was sort of struggling with my groin for like 2 or 3 weeks before that, but playing through it.
Yeah.
I went away and I think we played Luxembourg away, and they come on after like 10, 15 minutes. And then after like 80 minutes, I could hardly move my groin, but I couldn't come off. There was made the 3 subs. We were losing 3-2, and I was just playing through it, and it was a bad, not a bad one, but it wasn't great. Like my groin was in bits. I got back, and Steve wasn't happy that I played through it, and this, that, and the other. And then I think I was out for like 4 to 6 weeks with the groin, and then the lads went on like I think it was like a 12, 13 game unbeaten run or 15 game unbeaten.
Good one, yeah.
Yeah, so I couldn't get back in the team. I was getting on for like 10 minutes here and 20 minutes there. I just couldn't get back in the team, and I couldn't even knock on his door and say like, "Why am I not playing?" Because the lads were winning games, which I didn't mind. I was happy they were winning. I was disappointed to be sitting on the bench, but I knew if I'm sitting on the bench, then the team's doing well, which I didn't mind. But yeah, I didn't really get going again. And I think I only made like, as you say, 4 or 5 starts after that.
Something like that, yeah.
But I was fit. I wasn't injured. I just couldn't get in the team because the lad was doing so well. That's what I think.
Which, yeah, like I say, shows if we can keep you on bench, we're definitely doing something right. Because in League 1, League 2 are better midfielders.
Yeah, it was just that. Even the bench. You looked at the bench in that League 1 season. Any of them players could have got in most League 1 teams. That's how good that squad was in League 1. Scary, yeah.
Yeah. When did you start thinking of promotion as a group of players? Because obviously we didn't go into the season thinking we're going to go up. Like I said, I don't know about you, Mick, but I was almost certain we weren't going to go down. I knew good players were good enough to stay up. When was promotion sort of start being talked of?
I don't think we did talk about promotion once, honestly. Me personally, I think it was. I don't know if you remember the late Northern game at home where Red scored late on.
Yeah.
Remember that? That's when I was sitting there and I'm thinking, we have a chance here because they were flying, they were doing well. And we were on a good run as well. And once we beat the Emmons, I thought personally myself, we've got a chance here. And then you get your place in the playoffs with 2 or 3 games to go. We were guaranteed playoffs. So yeah, no, it was from then I thought got a chance.
Something I do want to ask about on the New Year's Day game against Coventry, we ended up losing 3-1. I remember it was Morgan got sent off for a ridiculous decision. He fouled the player at 3 yards outside box and he gave a penalty. You missed the penalty. I remember Steve Evans out after the game being very publicly critical, and I was really surprised that it came out because I've not really done that before with many players. I just what was your take on not necessarily the missed penalty because people miss penalties, but the whole Steve Evans thing after that was interesting from the outside.
I was in the car listening to Radio Sheffield on the way back, me and Frax, and he's come out and says, he'll never have a penalty again and stuff like this. I thought, he's a prick. Honestly, my head was gone in the car. I was going to ring him and just think, but I missed the penalty, and that penalty would have made it 2 each. I think they've broke from the penalty and scored.
Yeah,
to make it 3-1 the last minute. So I was gutted about that, and then for him to come out and say that made it 10 times worse. But that was Steve, That was Steve. That's him.
Yeah. It doesn't surprise me at all from what we've learned over the last couple of 3 weeks. What's Steve Evans going to do now? I'll tell you what he's going to do. He's going to go on radio and he's going to say, "You'll never play for me again, or you'll never take a penalty."
That's basically what he done. But, it was just one of them games where I was absolutely gutted after the game, and he's going mad in the change room. With Steve, see at half time in games, if you're drawn 0 each or you're winning 1-0 but not playing too well, if you're walking in the tunnel and he's having to go at the fourth official, like go mad, you know, fuck, we're going to get it here. Every time you knew straight away we were going to get it. But yeah, that hurt me. My head was gone with that one when he came out on the radio and publicly says he won't take a penalty again, stuff like this. I mean, it wasn't as if he meant to miss a penalty on purpose. It was saved.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was him.
It's easy to brush it off. Obviously, at the time your head's gone, but do you have to have a conversation with him, or were you able to just sort of let it go after a day or two?
No, I let it go. I knew if I went in on the Monday, there would have been a massive argument, because he would have still been hurting from the loss, and obviously I was still hurting from the penalty miss and what he says. So I think I just didn't go into him. I just get on with training, stuff like that.
Fair enough. On to the playoffs. Well, the last 4 or 5 games of the season, like we got in 3 or 4 games. The 6-4 against Wolves, I think, was the game that sort of sealed it for certain. You played most of that game, I think. Come off at sub late on.
80 minutes.
That must have been chaos to play another game.
Yeah, that was mad. The atmosphere as well. Because I think if they won that day, they won the league.
They won the league. I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. So Molyneux, full house. Atmosphere was unbelievable. I think we filled our end as well. We were at the side. We filled. That was all red and white. But yeah, I can't even remember what way the score went. Were we ahead at one stage or something? And then
I think we were 4-1, 3-1 down, and then 4-3 up.
4-3 up, and then Dicko score.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, it was a crazy game. That crazy. I was the maddest game I've played in, honestly.
I think it's the maddest game I've watched ever.
Yeah.
It was just crazy. And everything.
10 minutes was just mad. It was just goal and then another goal, and then it just time someone went forward and scored.
It's when Joe Scars popped up. It was when Joe Scars popped up with a volley.
Scars, he scored a
volley.
Yeah, remember that? Yeah, he scored a volley out there.
At least 2 of their goals were offside, and I'm not bitter about that yet, even now. I can still remember it. I can still remember screaming at linesmen. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, they were just you, Mick, though. There were just 3,000 Rotherham fans and one bloke stood up screaming at linesmen.
Right. I can't remember much of that game. I just remember the atmosphere, and it was just a mad game. But see, thinking back now, I just can't remember any of the goals apart from Scarsy's, where he scored that volley. But the rest, I can't remember the rest of it. Can't remember.
I think Agog got the ball. Agog got hat-trick, and then Dicko got hat-trick, 2 hat-tricks in the game.
Yep.
Yeah. How good were those two? We'll start with Agard, 20-plus goals that season. We talk about Frex being the best player in the division, he was, but Agard, for his goals, were just as important to push us up to the playoffs, weren't they?
He was massive. Nicest lad in football, honestly. He worked so hard off the pitch. Even when he was, he didn't get much of a chance. When he came in, he was playing a game, doing okay, and then you won't see him for 3 or 4 games, get another chance, doing okay, and then you won't see him. But then when he started scoring, he got a bit of confidence, and he was massive. He just scored for fun. He's strong. He could hold the ball up. Still a bit raw, but he scored goals, and that's what you want as a centre forward. And he had a good spell.
And Dicko obviously came on loan for 6 or 7 games, and then went to Wolves. He felt like, from outside, one of our best loan signings, even though it was a short period of time. How good was Dicko? Because it looked like he had everything. He
did. I didn't play with him because I was injured for that 6 weeks.
Yeah.
That was the 6 weeks I missed. But watching him in training, he was a quiet lad. I think it was just because he just came on loan. He kept himself. But watching him from the sideline, he was unbelievable. We thought he was going to be a big miss when he left. But Kieran stepped up and got the goals for us.
Yeah.
He's big for us.
Didn't Dicko score a hat-trick in both games that season against Wolves. One for us and
He
one for them.
He scored 2 at our place.
Wolves
It
at
was only
Wolves.
2.
We drew 3-3.
Drew 3 each, that was it, yeah.
Yeah, mixed angry about that and all because we got a penalty game against us.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did, yeah. That was Michael Oliver, a referee as well for that, wasn't he?
He's gone on to do alright for himself, hasn't he?
Well, yeah.
Really, no.
Apart from that game, he's done alright.
Yeah. I'm still not forgiving him for that penalty.
No, you haven't. You didn't hold grudges against referees, do you, mate?
No, not at all.
They're getting worse. Honestly, see the referees nowadays, see the last 2-3 years, they are. I know it's a hard job, but you need more ex-footballers to be referees.
100%.
Just to know the game. There's too many that go on these courses and watch videos of how to referee. And I'd say in the next 5 years it'll be a non-contact sport. You look at someone, it'll be a free kick. It is going that way. It's not good.
It's embarrassing at the moment. It's absolutely embarrassing, and it's one of the things that stood out for me in this last season in the Championship. The standard has just been as bad as I have ever seen.
That's Championship football. That's the league below the biggest prize in them all, the Premier League. Yeah. That's what chance have you got?
Yeah. I mean, some of the decisions that we've had against us this season.
Seen the sends off that you have had, and
Don't send me off.
I'm not. Let's talk about something else.
People listen to this podcast are sick of listening to me moaning about it.
Out of interest, what's the standard refereeing like over in Northern Ireland? You say there's only not many professional teams. The standard refereeing, what's that like compared to your days in EFL?
Worse, awful.
Okay.
Oh, it's awful. Honestly, it's some of it's like it's. Let's talk about something else because it's let's talk about something else.
Yeah. Playoffs. So what we got: Preston, 2 Preston games, and then the Leighton 08 one. So the first leg at Preston, again, you started that game. The goal from Ravel was an excellent goal, running from the halfway line. Fantastic run, fantastic finish. It sort of showed. It's got 2 games later, but that was a really, really, really good goal from Ravel, wasn't it?
Yeah, the one at Preston, unbelievable. Once Revs gets going, like runaways, he's like a big horse. He just gallops, and you couldn't catch him. But he took out well because I know in the past, like he missed a lot of one-on-ones. When Revs had a lot of time one-on-one, he missed them. So that one there was massive, especially at away to Preston. It's a big goal. But the goal after that, Joe Garner, my God, I was right behind it. What a strike that was! Honestly, that was one of the best goals I've seen being on the pitch. That was some strike, but that was a good draw away to Preston. It was a great draw. But I didn't start that game. I came on after 10 minutes or 15 minutes. I came on for, I think it was Richard Brindley might have got injured, right back or something. I played right in midfield that game. I come on right midfield, absolute graveyard shift.
Okay.
I come on. I just played right midfield, sort of to try and keep Gallagher quiet. There, he played like on the left, sort of tucked in. So I just sort of tried to stay close to him because he was their main man, try and keep him quiet. But no, it was a good draw getting into the home game.
A very good draw. We talked about Pringle and Arnie that one of those 2 teams in the 4 teams in the playoffs, Rotherham and Preston, were the 2 strongest teams. Certainly, as a fan, that's how it felt. And obviously, they thought the same. I assume you thought the same as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I thought the winner of that would have been favourites at least to win it. But the second game, like the atmosphere, the second game, unbelievable. Say we got off the bad start. I think they scored. Yeah, they scored first. Then the free kick sort of missed everyone.
Straight in. Yeah.
Missed everyone. I thought, here we go. But after that, that's when we started. Lads started the play. We knew we had to show up. And then I think Frack scored a header, and then Kieran might have scored. End up 3-1 game.
3-1. Wes Thomas got the first one. And then Frack's
got the header, and then Kieran scored. So 3-1 with 10 minutes to go. We looked safe. Yeah, I know we're going to Wembley.
You got to come on for the last couple of minutes for that one, just in time to get mobbed by everybody.
last 2 minutes, yeah. I got mobbed like 2.5 minutes, just to get a little appearance. But I think it was just a waste of time, really. We won in the 90th minute, just by a sub to make, so he put me on.
Is it tough that because you've played a lot of time, but then these are the games of the season that you want to be involved in? Again, you talked earlier about it means the players are doing well. I imagine in the playoffs that it's still very tough to take to be sat on bench when you're sat there witnessing the atmosphere and watching them play that game was really tough.
They're the games you get involved in football for, big games like that. I think it was the last home game we played in Cairns. That was my last start for Rotherham. I scored that game as well. We drew 2-each. I done well that game. And then the next game, he says, I'm going to rest players for the playoffs. We played Swindon away. And he says on the Friday, I'm going to rest players. Here's the team. And I wasn't playing. I thought, I think he's resting me to play in the playoff. So I didn't play in that game. Then came the playoff, named the team that I wasn't starting. I was inside, I was fuming, so absolutely fuming not to be starting. But it's just one of them things where you just had to get on with it.
Is that something you talk about the commentary when you didn't speak to him? Did you go and ask the question? I played this game, played well, you've rested me. Why am I not involved? Why am I not starting in this game?
No, I didn't go and see him. I didn't. Usually, if he names a team on a Friday, you don't. I would never do it. I wouldn't go and knock on manager's door on a Friday before a game. I would leave it till Monday. But obviously, he's named the team before, so you couldn't go and knock on his door until the 2 days after the game, which we won. So you couldn't really have a leg to stand on. You're going to knock on the door when we're not playing. You says, "Well, we just won," so that's why you didn't play. But yeah, before the Swindon game, we trained on the pitch, and he called me in his office and says, no matter what happens, new contract, whether we go up or stay in this league, there's a new contract for you there. I thought, happy days, pinch of salt, don't believe him, but we'll see what happens. But yeah, came the end of the season and we had the meetings, and he called me and he says, he blamed the chairman. He says, the chairman says that you haven't played enough games this year, so we can't give you a contract. And I thought, well, I haven't played games because you're not picking me. It's not because I'm injured. I'm available to play. I think I made 37 or 38 appearances that season, which isn't bad, considering so many games because the lads were doing well. But yeah, that's just Steve. He told you one thing and then just full of shit, really. he was, but that just summed him up. But one of them things, it was good at the leave. I wanted to play in the championship again because I had 2 years in the championship with Scunthorpe, with 3 or 4 years before and done well. But no, that was hard to take. No, it was good.
That sounds that sounds a bit poor.
I wouldn't have minded if it was him telling me there's a contract there for you, no matter what. There's a contract, and then 10 days later, there's no contract yet. So he blamed the chair. He says the chairman says that because you've missed so many games, we can't give you a contract. But I spoke to Paul Douglas about a year after. I went to one of the games and spoke to Paul Douglas and said to him about it. He's like, he's full of shit. That didn't happen. We didn't tell him that was his decision.
I was going to say, Tony Stewart and Paul Douglas are not known for meddling. No, not that type of chair. It's not Chilino at Leeds or whatever else.
Yeah. Obviously, at the end of the day, the manager, if he wants to keep you, he'll keep you.
Yeah.
It's down to him. So that was one of them things, but I get over it. It wasn't nice, but it's football.
No. Yeah, it is. Talk about the playoff final again. Unfortunately, not involved even as a substitute on this one. Again, I'm going to ask you again, how tough is the playoff final? You go to Wembley to not be involved after being involved a lot over the last 2 years. Again, must be an absolute kick in the gut. Or
it was tough.
Tough role for you on the day, isn't it?
Yeah, at 2-0 down at half time, I thought I might come on here. I might a chance of me coming on, and then he didn't make any subs, and then I think of I don't know if it was extra time or just before full time. Frax, he felt his calf.
Yeah.
He felt his calf for his hamstring. So I was coming on, like Stephen Rains says, like, get warmed up, Frax is struggling. As I'm getting warmed up, I think Reds went down with his hamstring or quad, and we had one sub left. And he brought on, I think it was, he brought someone on for Red. I can't remember who it was. But
Lukic.
it was a Fukic, was Horace, yeah. Brought him on, so I blame Rez for not getting on at Wembley. You know, he was down injured. So it's all his fault, not Steve's. This time it's Rez's fault.
As a sub at Wembley, have you still got, as a squad player, have you still got a role to play in that environment? Do you know, in a sort of help? This sounds really cheesy, but help supporting the players before the game, half time, particularly before penalties as well. Do you have any input, or do you just sort of stay away from it, let players who are playing get on with it?
No, you try and give as much encouragement and help as you can. You know, you're part of that squad. I made 37 appearances. I wanted that League One winners playoff medal around my neck.
Yeah.
Whether I'm playing or not, I still played a part. But yeah, it was hard to watch. But no, it's any game. If I didn't play in any game, I supported the lads, and I was never behind their back saying, "Why is he playing? Why is he playing?" You know, I don't agree with that at all. No, I think Richie. It was Richie Smallwood came in on loan and sort of took my place when I got injured.
Yeah.
But he was great. He was unbelievable that season. He was unbelievable. He was like a brick wall in that midfield. He was the one that let Frax went and scored our goals because he was the one just sitting there and giving him that freedom to go and do it. Yeah, he was brilliant.
When you look at that midfield for that season with yourself and Frax, and it was just, I mean, it was phenomenal. And I would think as a player, no matter who you are, whether it's yourself or Frax or anybody else, if you worry that if you get injured, you are going to worry you're not going to get
back in. That's what happened to me. Couldn't get back in. So you had to play and keep yourself, do well in training, keep yourself fit. You couldn't go out at the weekends and drink and do this because you knew more chance of on a hamstring or something. So that's what happened to me basically. Got injured for 4 or 5 weeks, and then Richie came, done well, went on a winning run, and just couldn't get back in.
What was half time like? Pringles, when we were 2-0 down, Pringle mentioned that it was very quiet. 10 minutes of being very, very quiet. Steve Evans had a bit of a blast for a couple of minutes, and then everybody went back out. Was that how you remember it as well?
I don't know. I was sitting in the shade in the bench at half time with a towel. It was boiling hot that day, so subs just stayed and do a warm up.
Right. Okay.
But yeah, I think a few of the lads said afterwards they were surprised how quiet it was at half time considering we didn't play well. We were 2-0 down. They were surprised. It was he didn't go off more as much as he usually does.
And on the bench, you must have been in a good position for Ravel's goal. What were your thoughts as you could see him lined up? Because it was very obvious what he was going to do before he did it. What's running through your mind as he's hunched over, ready to shoot from a mile away?
Just seen him hitting it, I thought, fucking hell, let's just get in. And then obviously it's gone in. I thought they were all just jumping. Next day, I looked down the lane, Big Steve's running down. That's the biggest thing I remember from that goal. Not the 30-yard wonder goal. It was Steve running down the lane, pulling his trousers up. But what a strike. I think Rez would hit another 50 of them shots and would not do what he done. It's just one of them days it was made for him.
Yeah. Amazing. And the shootout again, watching from the sidelines, does that make it more stressful? If we go one of the 5 or one of the 11 on the pitch that's taking the penalties, you're sort of in control of it. When you're at the sideline, how difficult is that to watch? You're sort of like a fan, aren't you? You're just almost a fan. Yeah,
you can't do anything. You're not in control. Obviously, the lads are taking penalties, and the goalkeeper are the ones that can do some. So the lads on the side are you just can't do anything about it. But obviously with big ads has saved that there. We've all just sprinted on. If you look back at the pictures, I think everyone's there. The subs, the spur men that travelled down who weren't in the squad. Just shows how together we were. There was no obviously, if you're not in the squad, you're not playing, a lot of people aren't happy, but it just shows there's a picture of all just jumped on him, like everyone. So we were all in it together from day one, and that's shown in that picture.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, very special moment. Very special.
Great.
Ask Pringle this as well. Your medals and trophies from your time, because you got some more medals and trophies after you left Rotherham. Where are they kept? We spoke to a former Rotherham player on Monday, and he's waiting for a cabinet from his dad for 10 years. They've still not got him back yet.
Who's that?
It's somebody who played for us in the 90s, trying to bury his dad's doing him a cabinet.
I've got the League Two one. That's a big one. I've got the home and away top with the medal in the middle. That's down like the kids' sort of playroom, games room. And the League One is hanging up in the wardrobe with the medal around it. I just haven't got round to doing the pictures.
Yeah.
I am going to get a frame. Going to get that done. I've got that and the Lincoln one, which need framed. So I'm going to get them two done the next lot of months. Get it sorted. But it's sitting there, nicely hung up, ready to get framed.
Final fan question I got for today. Ian Frost, it was already mentioned it, but disappointed when your time came to Millers. He thought you were a great player for us. Moved around a lot after us. This is a really hypothetical question, but if the contract's offered on reasonable terms, I assume you would have signed it in a second.
Yeah, well, I want to sign it. I was getting in to sign the contract because I thought from the previous meeting I had, that's what was happening. But once he told me that, because I think we had the bus. We were on the bus. We were doing a parade around Rotherham with the trophy after the meetings. So when he's told me that, I've just got my car and drove off. I missed it all. Which I look back now and think maybe I should have went and took all that in. All the fans around the town and that. But it's just one of the things. But I would have signed straight away. I don't think I did move about. Most clubs I was at, it was 2 years minimum. Apart from Lincoln, where it was 18 months, and then same for Salford. But it was hard for me because I was based in Lincoln. My home and the kids were at school in Lincoln, so I couldn't uproot and just leave. So any club I'd been to I was trying to get it in like an hour and a half drive, so I didn't have to move. But I think Port Vale was only long one, which was an absolute track, like 100 miles, staying in the training most days. It was 2 years I spent there. And then Notts County after that for 2 years? Yeah, it was Notts. And then Lincoln, which was on my doorstep. Which was decent, 5 minutes drive. Yeah, that was a good one. It's only got 18 months of that, but no, that was a good time as well, Lincoln. Obviously the club was new training ground, the city was buzzing, you were getting 9,000-10,000 every week at Central Bank. Atmosphere was unbelievable. So just
great, great stadium as well. I love going to watch football there.
Yeah, proper stadium, proper atmosphere. But yeah, that was another good time, another promotion there. Yeah,
I was saying successful as well, isn't it? Very successful.
Yeah, successful. Yeah. It was. I knew when I was at Notts County, they were offering me another contract. But when I knew Lincoln were interested, living in the town, I knew like they were going places. Just a buzz about the place. I chose to sign there instead of staying in Notts County, and it was a good decision because Notts got relegated that year and Lincoln ended up. So I was getting a bit of grief from Notts fans after that, but I think in the end I made the right decision. Well, I don't think I moved about that much. I think there was only 3 clubs after that. I was what time? I was 26 when I left Rotherham.
Yeah.
2014, wasn't it?
Yeah, 26 it was. So it was only 3 clubs after that I left. Obviously Salford, that was only like a 3-month job at the end. It stopped because of COVID, but yeah, most clubs was 2 years.
Well, I want to ask that. When you signed 2 years at Rotherham, only 2 years. 2 years nowadays doesn't seem like a very long contract. Is that a club? Was that going back to the start? Was that a club decision, personal decision? You only prefer 2 years.
I think it was a club decision. Obviously, Steve told me that if you do well, then we'll rip up the contract after the first year and give you another one. So I think I spoke to him like at the start of the following, like the League One season. Said, "Listen, I've done well there. I want to stay. I'm enjoying it. What's happened? A couple of months from trying to do this, do that, and so I just dragged on, and then I was out of the team, and I just didn't go back to it. Yeah. I was at 2 years. Obviously nowadays, I think once you get to like 29, 30, you do well to get a 2-year deal. Unless you're a forward that's going to score goals or you're a top player. But yeah, it's 1 year deals mostly
now. Finish off with a couple of quickish ones. We always have to ask this. We've played with Steve Evans. We've got to ask: have you got a favourite Steve Evans story? We've been told that there is a Steve Evans story which Arnie and Pringle wouldn't tell us. Yeah, I understand if you won't tell us, but I've got to ask.
It's the same story I'm thinking of. I can't tell you. I can't. I'd love to, but
fair enough. That's fine. Have you got any other stories, Steve Evans, that you can
doing?
What was that, Mick?
What we're planning on doing is asking everybody who we're in that squad. We're going to get everybody on, and eventually we're going to get Steve Evans on and ask him.
He definitely won't tell you that. What next if it's the bus one, then I don't think. I think it's a bus one, but I can't tell you. Yeah, I can't tell you that.
That's fine.
Probably a time we went to we drove, I think it was 6 hours to Largs, like in Scotland for pre-season. You're sitting on the bus for like 5-6 hours, and your back's in bits and your hamstrings are in bits. And we got there at 7 o'clock, and we got off of this. I think 30 years ago it was the big thing, Largs, like a training facility.
Yeah.
But that was 30 years ago. We've got off, and this place is like Beirut. There's nowhere else. There's this hotel. The TVs were like 12-inch TVs, which like in the top corner you've got these beds were like army beds. The pitches weren't great, but we've got off after 7 hours. He's made us do 10 100-meter sprints straight off. The lads are thinking, we're going to pull our hamstrings here and do this and do that. But yeah, he told us as well. He said AC Milan trained here last week. He said, that's good. That is true. Says you should all be privileged to be here because AC Milan have just left, and he used to speak about Sir Alex Ferguson. He used to come out pretend to be on his phone, no one training. Put it down. He was like, that was Saf. Sir Alex Ferguson.
Saf.
That was shit. Do it all the time. He spoke to this, and he was some man. I was like, he's. I can't, you say these things about him, but one story about him, I'll tell you. I was in Notts County at the time, and he was at Mansfield as a manager. So we're 2-0 each, and I'm in speaking. I think I was doing like the media or the radio. I'm a missing 2 kids have walked out to get in the car. As they've walked out, Steve has sort of walked beside him and like they've sort of met and just speaking. And Steve's give the kids like 30 quid each. Just said, like, as you knew, like they were my kids. He's like, just talking to them. He's like, go and buy yourself something. There's 30 quid each. So he's, that way, like he's good to have to do that. So I got back, took the 60 quid of the kids, and I got a good night out liking that night. Yeah, he was good that way. He was. As you get all these stories at the time, you're thinking, fucking hell, this guy's just mad. Yeah. But looking back now, like if he rang me up now and he was in Belfast, I'd go for a pint with him. Yeah. Happily go for a pint. Obviously, he'd still probably talk shit and tell me lies, like, but I still go with him, I'd still go and have a pint with him. Yeah.
And like I said, successful times as well, and it's not like if we'd have struggled, if we'd have been in League Two for 2 years, then it won't be where we are. The success he brought as well is you can't argue it, can you?
100%, yeah. But he was a smart man in his interviews. Like he used to, he knew what to say to keep the fans on side.
I always thought that. Yeah,
he was the best I've seen.
Very good.
Very good at it. But no, I say if he didn't sign me, I would have had these 2 promotions. So it's down to him why I've got them. So it's just I wasn't. As you've got stories about him, not but what he done for me, like, it was massive.
He did a good job of it. We compared. We had Alan Stubbs a couple of years later, and it just didn't engage with the fans at all. It just it was something like he asked why don't you clap the fans? And I says, well, why would I need to? Steve Evans with a polar opposite to that. It couldn't. He just played up to the fans, and it earns your time. If you're as a manager and you're struggling a bit, but you've got the fans on side, it gives you a bit of it takes pressure off, doesn't it?
Listen, any football club, the fans are the biggest thing. See, if fans want you to that club as manager, they'll put pressure on the board and chairman. Yeah. Social media nowadays, booing at the games. Steve is a smart man, very smart.
Stubbsy went out of his way to be completely the opposite, didn't he?
Yeah, weird guy. Almost,
and then Kenny Jackett came in for 3 weeks and
3 weeks. That's it. I think he wasn't happy with. I remember speaking to a few lads that he was promised like there'd be new training facilities, like the building there. They had like little huts. Yeah. He was promised to be getting this, and obviously budget or something like this or players, and he just didn't get them. He just after 3 weeks, he's like, "Oh well, see you and go." Strange one, that,
Yeah, well, I think there is now a structure in place, but I think it came out of the transfer budget effectively. I think Warney had to push for it to come out of the transfer budget, sort of. But
with the facilities
now. For the there's a structure at the training ground now, and to improve the pitches. I might be wrong, but I think that came out of the League One, not last time, the time before League One. Yeah, effectively transfer budget type thing. Cause it needed to come from somewhere.
I was told when I signed in July. I was told by September we'll be in a new training ground out beside Sheffield. Still waiting for that. Still haven't seen that. Is it there yet? No.
No.
It's still there. The ground's still there.
Grass is there.
Yeah, the sign's still there. It says Rotherham United training ground, but the grass is about 6 feet long. And,
was it?
It's just nothing else there.
I was promised that, but that didn't mean much to me anyway. It just didn't bother me when we trained.
Final question, which we all want to know: what is your favourite Rotherham United memory? I think we can probably guess, but what is the? If there's a bit one moment that stands out.
Personally, or just as a whole for the team?
I'll go both. I'll go personal first.
So 2 questions.
2 questions.
I think for me, not only the goal to score, but I think the League Two, the last day, just seeing Frack score that goal, and the fans running towards me, that was a memory. Also, the Sheffield Wednesday games, remember that, the Carling Cup?
And the Cup, yeah.
Where Prings, the pig killer, scored that worldly. Frack scored a worldly as well.
Did Mick miss that game?
that was the best atmosphere at home.
They were amazing that night. Yeah,
that I've played on. That was some night. I think as a team, I think the whole 2 years I was there, just from day one till the very last day, was just unbelievable for me. Just to get them 2 promotions, not many players can look back after finished football and say I had promotion to League Two and then promotion to League One back to back. So not many players can do that, and privileged enough to say I've done that, Rotherham.
Fantastic. We love to hear when people have had a good time at Rotherham. Just makes us happy. We enjoyed it as well. So
it was the best 2 years of my career. Looking back now, it definitely was. Great lads, great fans. I haven't mentioned the fans yet. The fans are with me were unbelievable, absolutely top class. They were a massive part of why we got that back-to-back promotions. Every week you had 8, 9, 10,000 fans at home. Even the away fans, you had. I think we filled most away grounds. When we went, we took big numbers, good atmospheres. Obviously, it helps when you're winning games and you're up near the top. You are going to get more fans.
Yeah.
But as it was tough times during that League Two season, we weren't playing well, and they did keep showing up and supporting us.
Yeah, we talked to some players from 1996 who were first players that ever played at Wembley, and they say they're the same. The fans, it just sort of sticks with them. I imagine a lot of clubs like this. But if you're successful for them, you're remembered for almost forever. You become, part of the club's history, don't you? And it's fans love it.
Yeah. You don't see a player that scores 40 goals a season and the team gets relegated. They don't get spoken about much, but you get promotion and then promotion again. you look back. I'll look back in 10, 15 years time, sitting in a pub, speaking to my kids about it. So it's memories. They don't last forever in football. It's a short career, and for me to do that, I'm proud of it.
I think it should be. I think it's brilliant. Make anything else you want to ask?
No, I mean we've talked about that these 2 seasons now for what feels like, for certainly for myself and Matt for the last 3 or 4 weeks, and it just keeps bringing back more and more memories.
Yeah.
And it's one of the things from our point of view, certainly as a fan's point of view, is to the fact that the players enjoyed it just as much.
Yeah.
Which sounds a bit stupid, really, but because it's just a job, really. But it's our club, and the fact that players are coming back to us and saying that those were probably 2 or 3 of my best years of my career. It's phenomenal.
It is. No, it's obviously it was the best 2 years of my career. Obviously, it's the squad. Every person. There was no bad eggs in that squad. League 2 or League 1, everyone was just together. We had all different kinds of lads. We had lads that were quiet, but you'd speak to. You had our lads like out every Tuesday and Saturdays after games. Prings absolute. They had to pay rent in Faber rooms one stage. There was like there was 3 of them. There was Prings, Tom Hitchcock, and who's the one? Miles Addison.
Oh yeah, you mentioned them. Yeah.
Them 3 stayed together, and you guarantee on a Tuesday, if we won on a Tuesday, they'd be in Faber room, and a Saturday nightclub. It's just a great time. Just thinking back now, I think it's the first I've spoke about it, like in a podcast or anything about the 2 years of Rotherham. That'd bring back memories, Google.
Good. I'm happy to do that. We've really enjoyed it. Thank you very much.
No problem. My pleasure.
So thank you everyone for listening. I hope you've enjoyed it. And thank you, Michael O'Connor, again. We very, very, very much appreciate it. Cheers, mate.
No problem, boys. My pleasure.
Pringle looking towards Agard.